You're listening to the One Up Network. Welcome to One Up Yours for Friday, November the 3rd. Good to have you here with us. Got the whole fearsome foursome plus Skip here with us. You don't like that, Shane? It
was good.
Not good with the fearsome foursome?
I like it.
All right, so today's show is going to be standard format. What do you know about that? Intros. And then we're going to do what you've been playing. I think we've all been playing some games. I know we played one very big game this week, which everyone on the board seemed to already know we were doing. Did you see the thread that was on the message boards? They're like, I know you One Up Yours, guys. You're playing Gears. Yeah, guess what? You're right. Of course. Surprise. You know what's coming out, so we had to be all over that. Second segment, we're going to do one of those favorite segments you guys have out there as listeners. That's the PTI-styled segment. We've got six questions pulled out of the threads, and we're going to hit those each for about 4 minutes. See, Skip might cut us off, but you know sometimes he's friendly with us and lets us go a little extra minute or two. And then
he's shaking his head.
He's shaking his head. Yeah,
there's nothing that looks friendly about Skip today.
No, you know, actually tomorrow is grooming day for Whiskerino, so you can have a blog post on that. I bet, right?
Yep.
There will be blog post incoming with whiskers and fine grooming details.
Are you still in the contest?
I'm not. You know what? I saw the competition here and was like, you know what?
See, I am. I've been letting it grow out, and then it dawned on me that I'm going to go and meet my son's new doctor tomorrow. And if I come in with some like crazy facial hair, they're going to think I'm some kind of freak.
That would be awesome.
I have this great idea for this whole handlebar arrangement, and I don't know if it's going to really fly.
Just explain.
But you're going to try it.
Yeah, I think it would be rude not to, right?
I'm not shaving. Are we entering Shane's flat top in Whiskerino? Fucking Ivan Drago next to me.
I don't think my haircut carries well on radio. All right?
You could describe it. It's very blonde.
How about just someone put Shane's face on a picture of Ivan Drago and put that on the board?
I was, for Halloween, Ivan Drago from Rocky IV, and I went all out with the hair.
No. I think Ray Padilla had you better pegged on that one.
No.
Yeah. Well, you didn't see that.
No.
Gay wrestler.
Yeah.
No, really, it was working. It was working.
It's very blonde.
It is very blonde.
That's pretty much all you can say.
So John, you
on.
had me pegged on the whisker thing. I never have the patience to hold through and actually get to that point.
Letting a beard grow is a thing of beauty. Luke knows.
Yeah,
He's a hairy bastard.
I'm not ready to say goodbye to mine.
And did anyone see Skip on the on that TV thing he did, the G4 thing? He was rocking the full-on caveman.
He was the Geico man all over.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was fantastic. So anyway, after that third segment, Luke's got a whole bunch of news lined up for us. I think he has some micro
Good
transactions.
Beards to news.
That's right. Beardly news. So anyway, Luke, would you like to start us off here? What have you been playing?
Monday and almost all of Monday, from the time that I would have started my workday at 9 to the time that I left, was Gears of War from 9 to 7, single player. Tuesday was multiplayer for like the entire afternoon. John was over there, Skip was over there. You weren't going to stay.
No,
you came to play in the morning and
I stopped by to say hi and to play an hour or so, and the next thing I know it's 7 o'clock and they're kicking us out.
Must have sucked. Must have been horrible.
Well, that gives you some indication that it's, it's all right.
You know what the most amazing...
We have to be really careful what we say because Microsoft is listening, and actually
Hi, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Nice to have you here with us.
We have to be
today.
very careful about comments we make about Gears of War until next week's show.
Right.
But we can't deny that we've been playing it.
Right. Monday and Tuesday were rough around the office because a lot of people were playing Gears of War, and then another group of people were up at Nintendo playing Zelda. And to know that these people were playing these games and I wasn't was upsetting.
Oh,
It is the time of year.
It is the time of year.
I think we can talk a little bit more about Gears, though. Just a little bit. Yeah, I think that some of the stuff that we were worried about with previews that we've written about in previews, as far as like repetitive environments and areas looking the same, people do not have to worry about that.
Nope.
There's very clear and excellent changes in the way that the game's aesthetic evolves.
I have to say that if we get Cliffy on again, I am looking forward to talking to him about some of the comments he made when he was here last time.
Yeah, and that could be a continuation of that next week. But are you talking about what we were talking about earlier about archetypes?
Yeah. Cliffy, I don't think Marcus Phoenix is really an archetype. Yeah, right.
Okay.
But yes, it's very impressive.
And multiplayer was a lot of fun. You went there for multiplayer, but Garnet came down and played multiplayer. Skip and I sat next to each other pretty much all day, bitch slapping editors from other gaming websites.
Multiplayer was an interesting experience. I haven't, not having played it as much as you had, the learning curve's pretty steep when you jump into it at first. It's a whole different sort of animal.
They did invent a new way of moving, remember?
It's platforming in front of you.
Whatever. Right, sure. I tell you one thing that was impressive. You're playing it at your desk today, and I come by your desk, and Luke doesn't have. In fact, none of us really have HDTV.
I do.
Yeah, whatever.
That's a waste
Anyway.
when you're gonna have a Wii hooked up to it. We can switch TVs.
I was impressed, especially given how many of the AAA 360 titles look markedly better in HD. I was surprised at how great this game translated to standard def.
Well, yesterday,
and that's really impressive.
Yeah, yesterday Ray Barnholt over on Cheats, we gave him one of the Reds to start working on the super guide for mycheats.com, and he's over there playing, and I walk over there, and all of the editors of OPM are standing around behind Ray Barnholt, one of our interns, watching him play Gears on single player on standard def. It just looks gross. It looks so
it looks gross.
good.
Because they're doing all the other things right. They have really, really great lighting, and they have really fantastically done art design, and you were talking about water rivulets running down the side of trees in the rain and stuff. I mean, it's outrageous.
Is starting to look like the promise of next gen titles. And,
right.
Everyone's like, oh, is the trailer really what the game looks like? Well, yeah. That's what the game looks like.
But at the same time, when you finally see a game that looks this good, does it make you harsher on all these other games? These like
Resistance.
Well, like not Resistance.
Resistance.
No, I'm not saying Resistance. I'm saying like
I am.
Well, you haven't played through Resistance, so I wouldn't talk about that.
I'm just talking
He
about.
hasn't played through
I'm
Gears.
talking about
You
looks.
haven't played through Gears.
I've not played through
Can we
Gears.
get to Shane's question?
Can we get to my
please?
question? I'm talking about all the other like multi-platform games and like current gen ports that you're still seeing coming out on Xbox 360 and PS3. Like, when you see a game that is developed from the ground up, this is like one of the first games that really does take advantage of the system. I think it kind of makes everything else look really shitty.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about that last week. It's sort of like that's the problem. That's what these companies face when they're trying to decide where to develop.
It will. It resets your expectations of what a game. I mean, I thought Splinter Cell looked pretty good on 360, but after watching Gears of War and now looking at Rainbow Six Vegas, which I still think looks like a fantastic game, and it's another thing the My Cheats guys are playing right now for the Super Guide next week. And Rainbow Six is a good-looking game, but next to Gears, it's Jesus, it's like a different system.
Well, yeah, and the thing was, Rainbow Six Vegas isn't translating as well on standard def. Like, Rainbow Six Vegas looks a lot better in HD, whereas Gears, I mean, if you, like, the majority of humanity still have a standard definition television, Gears is gonna look awesome. It looks great.
Yeah.
That Rainbow Six is pretty hot, too. I'd actually downloaded that because they finally brought out the American version, and I haven't set up 2 accounts to get the European downloads or whatever. That's awesome. I was so surprised by that game. It uses a cover system, and I like the way they did the cover system a lot.
Left trigger for cover. It's really
works.
interesting.
I hear people like it better than Graz or something. Better than the way Gra
It
played.
flows better than Graw.
It really
There's none
does.
of that sort of clumsiness that unless you really were paying attention in Graw, you would sometimes you'd be going into the wrong stance. But this, you just go up, you pull the left trigger, and he'll automatically crouch or stand depending on the shape of the cover.
And using
really well.
And using the aiming stick, then you're able to pop around the cover in different directions without having to go through any other, big things. It's really intuitive.
Yeah, the next big gaming thing that we're going to see and everything is blind fire, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's doing blind fire now.
Killswitch had it like 3 years ago.
Exactly.
I love blind
Gears
fire.
does it, and Luke loves it.
I love
He played
it.
through blind firing the shit out of everything, and I'd never used it once.
Yeah, well,
Don't
then
you waste all your ammo? 'Cause
No. You actually when Cliff and I talked about it back at X06. It's an interview that we're holding.
Clang. Sorry, was that Cliffy's name you were dropping?
Yeah,
again
it's
there?
well, no. It was because
I was talking to Cliff and
I'm
Lindsay.
I'm plugging the One Up show because they're doing a special Gears thing in like a week and a half around Emergence Day. But he was saying that like the key to the whole game is like you can actually get used to blind fire where you don't have to actually sight and you stay in cover and can shoot. And on the hardest difficulty level, Insane, which isn't unlocked, I mean that's what you have to do because the enemies can start to shoot you. It's like little parts of you are sticking out of cover. So it's going to be that's going to be the key to the game. So don't believe, but that's fine. When I unlock defeated game on an Insane achievement, and you're like, oh, how'd you get that? Blind fire.
I'm not saying it won't be different after getting accustomed to it, but I found that in playing the demo of Rainbow Six, I was able to move through it more fluidly with the way they had the cover system set up. I was telling Skip, it's really impressive. Like, you're going through this construction area, and a lot of listeners will have played this because it's out on Xbox Live now, and you can move so quickly between cover and run to the next cover and get in position and pop out and get opportunity fire because that left trigger system works so easily. That was what made it a really cool experience for me. I like that. It's good. Shane, how about you, man? I know you've been playing
Not
some.
Zelda, not Gears of War.
Not those two.
Hang on, listeners.
Hold
on, here comes the violin.
Well, I've been happy to an extent because I've been playing Phantasy Star Universe, which I've been waiting for like 5 years for. I'm like, as I've said, the hugest PSO nut. I played hundreds of hours of the versions of PSO. And
You and Milky have a little disagreement over this.
not really. Like, he created like a false disagreement there. But I have a lot of complaints, and we're going to get to my complaints actually in the news section, I think. But I am really enjoying the combat. The combat, I didn't think it would be that as good as it is. They took what was already, in my estimation, the best online RPG combat ever and made it way more action oriented. You really feel like you're in complete control. You're dodging attacks. You have all these combos. I mean, like, people who play Final Fantasy 11 or WoW or any of those games, like real MMOs, like, those games don't have real combat. This game has like real action combat.
Is it still very kind of Diablo-ish?
It is. It's it's still more or less the same thing. They've changed a lot of like the setup and like the complexities of the game, and you can have 6 people in your party now. But at the same time, I love the game and I also hate the game. And the hate is mainly technical problems.
Isn't this a game that, John, where they really probably couldn't change it too much? I mean, the fan base, like Shane and Milky, I mean, you didn't want it to be that much different, did you?
No, but I wanted them to change, like, the things I thought they would change for the better, they actually made worse, and things that I didn't think they'd be able to improve and shouldn't even bother improving, they actually managed to improve.
So those things we're talking about in news, or do you want to get into any of that now?
I think we can get into it later, because it's
Okay.
more, it's kind of a conceptual stuff that's going a scary way. So,
All right, well-
in addition to that, I've also been playing other Sega games. I'm playing Sonic Rivals for PSP, and I'm playing.
You look like you were having a great time earlier.
It's tough, that game, because I really want to like it because it has really cool graphics and it's an original Sonic game. It's unique, it's new, but it's pretty frustrating because the whole idea is you're racing against another person all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically you're playing through Sonic levels, but it's a race. And the odds of you winning the race the first time are very slim because you don't
So
know.
it's like forcing you to play it fast rather than just
Right.
it being fast.
And you're not going to know the level the first time you play through it. And the AI is smart and doesn't make many mistakes. So you basically have to play the same level multiple times to beat it. So, yeah.
I don't know. In a way, though, that kind of forces you into playing Sonic the old school Sonic way, dude. Sonic speed.
It is.
That's the deal.
I mean, it's basically like I love Sonic CD. That's my favorite Sonic game ever. And there's one boss battle in that game where you're racing against Metal Sonic, and it's a cool level. And I used to love it, but the whole game of that, it gets a little old. But I'm still playing through it. I haven't really decided. And I'm also playing Sonic the Hedgehog for 360 and PS3. And
We should just take him and
You're Captain Sega this week.
I
say
am
we
Captain Sega this
should
month.
turn that blonde hair blue and just like.
Yeah, but I don't really
Give
have.
me
I
a
don't have
hedgehog.
much to say about the PS3 and 360 Sonic yet. So
Wah,
enough.
wah.
Anyone else been playing anything else? I've been playing a bunch.
What do you? Yeah,
Can I talk?
yeah, hit
Yeah.
it. Of
So-
course.
You've been talking. You've been
Of
trolling.
course.
I wouldn't troll. Not me.
What you playing, John?
I was also playing. Wait! Tecmo brought the Super Swing Golf by today, which I'd already played earlier, and it's still really fun and like it's the best like pick up and play golf game I've ever played in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've never? I played it too. You've never played golf, right?
I played it once.
Well, so I like.
I'm not good at it, but it's fun. It's easy to play.
Yeah, I'm not great at it, but I was a mid-'90s golfer in college, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it actually it does just enough to make it feel like a golf swing, and not so much that you're like over.
Yeah, I mean, you actually have to like kind of correctly swing the club.
Yeah, you have to bring your wrists through. You have
Right.
to you have to square it up and get the club face through properly.
Yeah.
But it's not overly.
It's a great balance
tricky.
of like fun, easy, but yet still kind of serious at the same time. It's
yeah.
surprising.
Did you do any of the trick shots? The trick shots are pretty
Yeah,
cool.
they're cool. I
What, like a
kinda
draw
dig
and a
it.
fade?
No, actually, no.
It's
of
like
course,
crazy,
no,
crazy moves actually.
whatever. Hater in the house.
I gotta I just play the real fucking game. Golf's like the best sport on earth. Hi, Dad.
Wow.
Not everybody can go to your exclusive white-only country clubs.
Oh God.
Thanks, Kentucky. Any other
Exactly.
news from the Great South? What are them Duke boys up to?
So
That was really good.
that was really good.
Do that again.
It's one for show.
I kind of hear him do that. I look over there and I just suddenly have this image of Cooter.
No,
That
he-
wasn't
that
good.
was-
What the fuck,
was-
Connor?
was-
That's Roscoe
I hope
P.
you mean Cooter the character.
God damn.
And
Jesus.
that was Roscoe P. Coltrane, not Cooter.
No, I know, but put him in
Stop.
overalls and
Stop. Derail confirmed.
You're gonna go.
John, what have you been
You're gonna go work on the General Lee
Well,
later.
ignoring him, I have been playing a lot of games with ATV in the title,
Oh, boy.
and Need for Speed Carbon, which came out this week, which I think we've talked about before, and a lot of Splinter Cell still as well.
All right. Well, so there's
Yeah,
that.
there you go.
Need for Speed Carbon we talked a little bit today because there's an achievement in that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we've not talked
Oh,
about
we'll
that
talk
in the
more about
past.
that later too.
Need for Speed in news with microtransactions.
Yeah,
We'll get to
yeah.
that later. But yeah, there's a cool achievement-based online thing, which is they're calling the viruses, which I think the way this is seeded is it will start at EA today, presumably, or it started this week, where there is there are 3 full car cover vinyls in the game, which they're calling vinyls, I guess. And if you race it, so they will race again in the online arena, and the person that beats them will win a copy of that vinyl. And then when they go into other online games, they'll pass this virus along in that way. And if you have the vinyl by happening upon someone that has it and beating them, you get the vinyl added to your collection, and you get a big achievement for it. If you get all 3 of the viruses in the game, then you get the pandemic achievement, which is like one of the big secret achievements in the game. It's an interesting way of getting you to play online, I guess.
It's a really cool achievement system, and we talked about it months ago. Small Arms has like a similar sort of thing.
6 Degrees.
Yeah, and we're expecting that. I mean, that game's going to be out soon.
Jacob and the other guys at Gastronaut Studios will be doing the same sort of thing, where they have an achievement and you beat them and you get it. But
I think it's a way to really get people to start focusing on playing online. I think it's it's going to make you explore the different modes and hunt around, and it's not clear yet if you're going to be able to identify that someone has the virus as you're sort of entering a game. Or I think what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to drop in a game and notice that someone has this, black and green kind of, it's very HR Giga looking kind of artwork that it has. But when, if you beat that guy, you get it. It's kind of cool.
Splinter Cell?
I'm still liking it, although I have a feeling that next week I'm going to stop playing. If I don't beat it this week, that's it. I'm probably not going to return to it.
That's exactly how I felt. I started through it, but stopped because I went and played Gears, and now I have Gears to play. So.
Yeah. Are you playing much multiplayer or just single player?
I was trying to plod through the whole single player and then jump onto multiplayer. So I wanted to play Shu because he's a big Splinter Cell fan.
It.
But I think unless we nail it down this weekend, it's going to be all Gears and Rainbow Six.
Yeah,
I think those are going to be 2 hard ones to upset. 2 really hard.
I think those 2 games could be the 2 of the biggest games this holiday. Definitely Gears because it's pretty, and Rainbow Six because it looks really good.
The one we haven't been talking about that's also right around the corner is the one I was playing. Back to World War II.
Call of Duty 3.
You sound so sad, Garnet. What's the deal?
That's the best-selling Xbox 360 game of all time.
No doubt. Call of Duty 2. And
for just a couple more months, I'm afraid.
Well, yeah. Call of Duty 2 is still one of those games, though, you could pull out any time and pop in your 360 and A, have a good time, and B, show off your theater system and your plasma television and your 360 and go, wow, that looks awesome. And the lack of anything like that for me now adding on to Call of Duty 3 tells you all you need to know before the review comes out.
Different development team.
You know what? I really like Treyarch. Treyarch did a great job with conceptually what they were trying to do with Big Red 1. They were trying to capture that band of brothers. We're going to talk about one group and build some camaraderie in it. And
the Brothers in Arms kind of does that same thing.
Brothers in Arms is a very different game.
But Brothers in Arms does the squad thing better, I think.
Yeah, the squad thing in Brothers in Arms is great. Remember Che was nuts for that game.
Yeah,
he actually sold me on it. He sold me on it.
Brothers in Arms is like regarded as kind of like the secret best World War II first-person shooter series.
Well, yeah, because it has so much tactical thought to it, and it gets you so much into the game. Have we seen the next one's doing like Operation Market Garden, right? Which is like actually
who can remember with these fucking World War II
I don't know, but
games?
Operation Market Garden's part of Medal of Honor Airborne too. I mean,
well, at least they're using big battles. Call of Duty 3 is about the Falaise Gap. I thought that was like something you ordered at Morton's.
It's part of the European theater.
I think it is actually. Morton sounds kind of good.
I'll have my Falaise Gap medium, please. Anyway, yeah, so kind of a little flat there.
I've been playing some sports stuff as well. Actually,
really?
I was playing FIFA today.
You weren't very excited.
We were doing it for the ESPN One Up show.
360 or current
360 version, which is seriously gimped.
Oh, really? I thought Todd liked it.
Yeah,
we wrote about this and talked to the producer and everything. I mean,
there is so much missing from that game. That's again.
Yeah, he did write about that part.
Teams missing, leagues missing, options missing. I mean, it plays well.
But
that's an opportunity for microtransactions.
The reason that all that stuff's missing is because they added all those new animations and they have an entirely new engine. And
when you're watching it from 20,000 feet, it makes a big difference, huh?
I'm sure in a few years they'll get all the other stuff in.
I'm just giving you the EA message. I'm trying to be fair.
It plays better. It plays the closest to winning 11 in terms of like just on the pitch control, but it's still not there. They don't have the ball control there. The right stick does that stupid one-touch thing instead of the ball control thing that winning 11 does. So they're still lagging behind. And Todd, who does a lot of the sports stuff for us on One Up, he does some stuff on EGM as well. He actually played the new winning 11 today, and he said they've stepped it up again. But I think in terms of perception, they could still lose because at the end of the day, EA has all the names, apparently there's different licenses for names, faces, and jerseys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They have to
I don't know. I
got
got to disagree with you about Winning 11 losing because, first of all, it already holds sway outside of North America. I mean, we
No,
know.
I'm talking about just in the US.
Yeah,
I
but,
think
but the fact that Winning 11 went from 0 to being like a real contender in America
Yeah.
is amazing. In like 2 years,
Right.
like quality actually like won out, and that's very rare.
it's a
And I
feel-good
think that
story.
I
Like,
think that
Newsies
momentum is still growing here. I think that Winning 11 is still gathering momentum, and the more we talk about it, and the more it stays in the front of people's
Yeah.
perception as the game
Well,
that actually plays
and also,
right.
the first Winning 11 for 360, you know, as good as it's going to be, it is kind of like a port from current gen. So I think in 2 years or whenever, when we see like
Yeah.
real next gen Winning 11s, they'll be really awesome.
It would help dramatically if they could get that whole series under one name and make it a global marketing program.
Well, they're
And-
changing it to Pro Evolution here. It's not called Winning 11 anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That's
one
going
of
to
the,
confuse so many people
I know.
too. Oh,
Right.
one other thing I played. Have any of the rest of you played Tony Hawk yet?
no.
No.
I'm waiting for the PS3 version. I hear it's the best.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
You're smiling.
I
waiting
know.
for the
I,
online part.
I haven't played a Tony Hawk because I find Bam Margera annoying, so I wouldn't play it last year. And I thought it was running out of juice, definitely. And I started playing 8, and it all comes all the like the classic Tony Hawk 2, Tony Hawk 4. It's kind of like Star Trek movies. Every other game is good. And this is one of the even numbered ones, so it's good. But I mean, it's still noticeably better than previous ones.
Can you hear that in the background? That's us making rum and cokes.
Well, we should a credit here for a
Yeah,
moment.
Yeah.
so
So-
one of our
What we're
listeners, Johnny sent us these Guatemalan rums. He sent us a bunch of them. We're only drinking half of them today. We're saving the rest, I think, for the PS3 line, maybe.
Yeah, these are from the República de Guatemala, Licores Nacionales.
Yeah, he appreciates it whenever we drink on the podcast. He thinks it makes a better podcast. So
If you're listening at home and would like to help one up yours,
we're not encouraging
That's-
children to send us liquor. No, you shouldn't. But if you do feel like you should, feel free.
We've enjoyed some fantastic anisado dulce guaca.
Right now, we're having the Predilecto. It's very good. So thanks
you can
again.
you can email for an address.
Anyway, did you have anything else to add about
I
that?
can't even remember what we were talking about.
Tony
now.
Hawk.
Oh,
Tony
Tony
Hawk.
Hawk. Anyway, yeah, it's very good. If you played the demo, it gives you a good taste of it. But there's some really interesting online stuff on the 360 version.
Man, that
What
thing
about
went
that
through
PS3
so
on
many
PS3?
iterations.
The PS3 version has full control with the 6-axis controller for everything,
But not online.
but not online.
That's not a trade-off I'm willing to make at this point.
I just don't know if I'm ready. I felt like I played so many Tony Hawks there between.
It'll all
you know,
come flooding back. That's the beauty of
Well,
it.
what I was
It's like,
But is that a good thing or a
yeah,
bad thing?
2 games, I think, that as long as they don't fuck it up, that can do this every time is a Tony Hawk and the SSX franchise. You pick them up and they just feel just right.
And what I like about Tony Hawk is they're so prolific. You can skip like 2-3 years, not have a Tony Hawk, and then go play it, and you're like, wow, look at all these enhancements.
Well, I've done that.
They have done a pretty good job of reinventing that thing. Even though when you like look at a screenshot, you're like, it looks like Tony Hawk. But when you start playing it, you realize just how imaginative the guys at Neversoft are, and how they just come up with all this, like these insane ideas that work so well, and they've pulled it off so many times now. And this year's
Yeah.
definitely a good one.
And they've gotten really good at level design. Now that the levels are like all connected, and it's very different if you haven't played one in a long time.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good endorsement. Okay, I'll buy that.
I won't buy it. I'll play it. Maybe.
Maybe you're gonna wait for the Wii version where you can use the Wii controller to do the.
You can download the demo on Xbox Live. It's free.
That's the language I speak.
I haven't done that. I read about it. Have you done the Wii version where you use the Wii controller?
It's a little more like SSX actually than
Yeah.
Tony Hawk, but it's fun. But it doesn't look as nearly as good as the Project
Well, but the
8.
whole, I mean, that's the whole idea of Wii anyway, is the same thing as like the golf game. It's not going to look as
this
good.
is true.
Come on.
It's fun. It just doesn't look as good. Yeah. It's like dating a fat girl.
All right.
Is it really that
so-
much fun?
John just got this horrified look on his face.
Is it really that much fun, Luke?
Nah, not
I
really.
never actually dated a fat
Never
chick.
either.
So how about a little trip over to our forums and see what the guys there online have been talking to us about?
Are you done, Luke?
Do you need another drink, Luke? I think you're empty.
You want to make some, rolling in flour jokes or anything like that?
Wow.
I don't get that one.
Well, I'll tell you later. Boston College fan let rip with a huge rant. I don't know if any of you saw it about Guitar Hero 2.
Why is he so
Yes,
pissed off?
I did.
Saying it's so difficult and that's bullshit.
And I think a lot of the people who responded to him showed how big the spectrum is of people who are playing Guitar Hero 2, because you had everything from people who started to agree with them or in between, and then a lot of folks were like, look, man, I've played Guitar Hero so much that like I can do hard level without even thinking about it anymore. I'm glad they did that.
Mm-hmm. So that game could end up polarizing people.
Well,
It hits when? Next
Well,
week? This week? It's this week, right?
This week. But you can always play it on, like, easy.
Yeah, because Dave Navarro is at some
He's
store
doing
in LA
a
or
signing at Best Buy.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero 2 got all of the play mechanics right and all of the song list wrong.
Oh.
Ouch. Not Game of the Year 2006, it sounds like.
No.
Slinky, I think DVC, I can't read my own writing here, says he's cancelling his Gears of War pre-order because it's too gory.
Oh, I saw that one too. That was bizarre.
He said he got flamed on the EGM board. Thanks, Shane. And
It was all
and this
me.
actually turned into just to read it and not to contribute to it. It's kind of interesting to see how
Well,
desensitized everyone is.
Is he like a concerned mother?
No, he's just a guy. He said he saw the latest batch of videos and
Is
was
he
kind of.
Is he like lame?
No, I think he makes a valid point. It's really fucking gory.
The shotgun removes,
newsflash.
removes things from your body. Just
I-
freaking
Freaking chainsaw cuts people in half.
That's the newsflash here. Most people I know think gore is cool. I don't know.
Okay, look, regardless of your opinion about gore, I think the thing to me that was surprising is what were you anticipating looking at the art design and the way that game's been developed all along. I don't think there was any question where that was
Did the
going.
mature rating kind of like, would he like, oh, I didn't know this was going to have violence in it?
No, I think people are just. I think it's some of it. People are going to be a little shocked at just how extreme it is.
Well,
It is extreme.
There are content descriptors on the
here's
back of that
thing.
box. All right?
And Skip just sort of, shrugged too. It seems like it's really extreme and really over the top and really gory and gruesome, and it to a certain degree is, but the game as a whole, like playing through the whole game, it's not nearly. It's pretty stylized. It's
Yeah,
not. You're
definitely.
not like, oh, this is so
Well,
real
the
looking.
blood's
It's
black,
haunting.
right?
It is stylized, but I'll tell you what, the gore and the way the jibs happen and stuff convey pretty much the intensity of it. If you were fighting things that were as badass as the Locust, that's pretty much what you would
But
expect would happen.
they're not people. It's not like you're torturing innocent children or
Well,
something.
they have
in this
some.
game.
They have some like hanging corpses in the first level that you would think would set the tone for the game as being really creepy, but there's nothing like that throughout the
Yeah.
rest of the
Anyway,
game.
I don't necessarily. I just thought it was an interesting observation that we're also completely desensitized to this stuff.
I think it just comes with the territory. I'd probably flame him too. Like, you know what you're getting into. Did he think it wasn't going to be a violent game? You know,
You can turn
You're an
that
ass,
stuff off
Shane.
too.
Don't worry, guy. Shane's a dick all the time. It's all good.
There was a lot of feedback to what was it last week that we talked about the feedback on Ted Price. It was, yeah.
Yes.
So that continued. Indy asked for developers from smaller niche titles rather than us going after the big guys all the time. He mentioned, it would be really cool if we could talk to people that did Phoenix Wright, stuff like that.
It would be interesting, I agree.
Yeah,
and especially DS people in general would be interesting because it's a whole other development game.
the guy who localized Phoenix Wright is awesome. If he's ever in town, I'll try to get him in here. He's
And
amazing.
then XEXYZ suggests going after more than just the leads. He'd like us to talk to script writers and art guys and animators and stuff like that, which, if we pick the right game, could be cool.
If you pick the right game.
Pick the right game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Red Swirl kicked off the inverted or regular debate,
Inverted.
and Red Swirl is correct. He inverts.
Is he
He is correct. Yeah.
is he
Luke, you
banned
are-
right now, or is he off the ban?
People who don't invert, I don't understand them.
You banned him?
we actually had this debate last week, and inversions all the way.
Dude, you don't play shooters. Fucking play the tape of Shane talking about how he
I
doesn't
have,
play
I have
shooters.
played I've played several shooters.
I don't play shooters. Shane
You know what?
Benhausen.
This argument, it's whatever. Play it however you like it. I play it direct. You play it direct. He plays it inverted. He plays it inverted. The problem I have
What did Skip
is
do? Hold on, Skip.
3-2.
So the problem that me and Shane have is the three of you are wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So the problem I have is that games like Gears of War, where you're switching from third person to then it becomes over the shoulder, almost first person. In third person games, I want to play inverted because there it makes sense to me. In first person game, I want to play direct.
Wow, it never makes sense to
It
me.
always makes sense to
Down
me.
never means up
Like
to me.
when I look up,
You know what? There was someone, I can't remember who it was. I should have written it down. But there was someone in this thread who articulated it really well. He said he used to be a cameraman. And he said that if you actually think about it as being a camera and you're pulling the back of the camera down or pushing it forward, when you think of it that way, it actually does. When you think of it as you as the camera, particularly with the third person stuff, it makes a lot more sense.
With the third person stuff, it works for me. I'll tell you why I switched to direct is because I was bad at Halo before I switched to direct, and I switched to direct and got to be decent. I'm not saying I was great, but my Halo skill improved about tenfold.
For me, the difference is when I'm playing inverted, I feel like I am controlling my character's neck. When I'm not playing inverted, I feel like I'm moving a cursor around a screen. That's the difference to me. That is like the fundamental difference, and that's why I can't do it.
And then there was a deviation from this thread into the bizarre Japanese trend of inverting the other axis.
One axis.
pretty
Yeah,
bizarre.
that is
Which
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, no one can win that argument. It's not even an argument. Style died in 79. brought up the Xbox 360 full update. There was a big thread, and then Clinton514 asked whose 360 got bricked. You're going to talk about this later, right, Luke?
Yes, I watched someone brick their 360 this week. It was hilarious.
Yeah?
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it a couple segments from now.
And that's kind of it from the board. There was a lot of activity after last week's show, so thanks, everyone. But
And keep it coming. And actually, when we come back in just a minute, we'll have even more activities from the board as we hit a little lightning segment, 4 minutes, 6 topics. We'll have that for you in 1 minute.
You're listening to One Up Yours, part of the One Up Radio Network.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. But as long as you're here, let me tell you about EGM Live, the weekly podcast from the editors of Electronic Gaming Monthly, along with the wonderful sounds of... EGM Live comes action-packed with special guests, late-breaking news, fanboy-baiting commentary, behind-the-scenes tales of office tomfoolery, and trivia contests with fantabulous prizes. Download it now at egmlive.oneup.com or subscribe to it through iTunes.
EGM Live is part of the One Up Radio Network, taped in the Ziff Davis offices in San Francisco. It is not actually live, and contest prizes are not guaranteed to be fantabulous.
All right, we're ready to hit your topics off of the message board in the 2.0 thread of suggestions. Skip, does that mean we're going to have 3.0 thread coming up next?
Yes.
Excellent. 3.0 thread launching this week, so come by boards.oneup.com for your opportunity to get into this on the next time. This time we're going to start off right here at the top of the list. Guys, is brand loyalty created by social conflicts with others that own different or other consoles and games, or experiences with software?
I say experience with software because my brand loyalty to both Nintendo and Sega were just based on me playing those games as a kid and not having arguments about with my friends about who had what, because who cared back then?
I think it started at that era. I mean, it really wasn't in Kick back in the era of Atari, was it? I mean, did we get into...
Are you asking what we think causes it, or how
Yes.
we
What
feel
causes,
about it?
What causes brand loyalty? Social conflict between people, or is it by the game?
I mean, I
or
think
is-
like message board arguments obviously galvanize people and like get them together and
Yeah.
make it worse. Like they instigate it, but I think it gets created by the software itself. Like you like a system or you like a company because of something you played, and not because of your friend likes it.
Well,
you
I
know?
think that on a lot of message boards on the internet, a lot of these little nerds like something because someone else said they liked it and haven't actually played it. Like when I
Sense of belonging.
sit and read like people on GAF jerking off Shadow of the Colossus, like I think that half of those little kids never played it.
that's true. I mean,
And
like,
it becomes like, oh, this is part of our PS2 indoctrination. This is like the Psalms of PlayStation 2, and that's what it becomes.
it is weird when you played something and like it, like Shadow of the Colossus. Right? I played it, liked it, I gave it like an 8, and I really like it, but I don't like it as much as these people, and they maybe haven't even played it. You know, that does happen. But I think at its purest form, it is based on software.
Well, I mean, it takes on various stages, doesn't it? I mean, once it grows to a size of like Nintendo fandom or Sony fandom, doesn't it sort of become like its own culture? Like you want to be a belonging member of that. Like if you're a Sony fan and you want that sense of belonging, will you join the people who bang the drum? And I love Shadow
I
of the
think a lot of that
Colossus and-
stems from people who can't buy other systems. If you can only afford one system, well, you're going to put all your money behind that. You're going to
That's true.
I'd like to know if this is generational though, because we don't know if it's kids. But I think a lot of people that are really staunch Nintendo supporters are that way because it was their way into video games. And like a lot of kids now, when you look at things that aren't video games, like music, like kids in their teens now are having far more eclectic tastes than guys in their 20s or 30s did when they were growing up. Like when we were growing up, it was like you were a rocker or you're into dance music or you're into whatever.
Well, I mean,
Now-
like iTunes culture has made
Yeah.
people listen to different things. You know?
So I think some of it comes from just how you came. I didn't come in through Nintendo.
Well,
so
you have like Amstrad and
I have all the-
Conex,
I have-
Commodore fandom.
yeah, so I have a lot of the computer stuff. So my appreciation for Nintendo has come from sort of just it earning my respect in a sort of more natural
right?
way.
Because Brits famously don't like Nintendo.
But that's but you know
No, it's true. Because
No, but I know-
Master
you know-
System was more popular.
right. You know
It's
where that
true.
reputation comes from? It's because Nintendo just wasn't a big deal in Europe.
Right.
They didn't push it there.
Yeah.
So Genesis was huge in Europe, but apart from that, it was all computers. It was the 64 and
The ST and
the
Amiga.
ST and the Amiga was massive.
Right.
Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
But it's funny. I still remember.
It was
ad
called the Mega
reference.
Drive in England.
I mean,
as
I remember
well.
the pre-Nintendo era. I remember like Atari, Odyssey, Intellivision, Coleco, and my friends had different ones. And like,
There was no argument there.
there was no argument. Atari was the one. I mean, even though Coleco had better graphics, Atari had the most games. You know,
I kind of think that a lot of this also could be attributed to that when PlayStation jumped into the market, it was the market leader in so much of what you had in your house at the time. In television, Walkman was still a very strong brand if you had a cassette player, because it was still a cassette
right? I
player
mean,
time.
the Sony brand loyalty goes way beyond games. You know,
Right.
people think Sony are good electronics, so they buy them.
And
right?
so that kind of rubbed off on the PlayStation, and I think the Nintendo community galvanized around Nintendo to fight back. And there was also a feeling of defensiveness there, because originally PlayStation was the disc attachment to go on to a Nintendo device, so there was like this rivalry between, oh, you guys were supposed to do this for us, and you know, so
there are a lot of
animosity there.
factors going on.
Right.
I think like advocacy, as you see it on message boards, is I think partially because of the social circumstances of those message boards.
And
But-
it's self-perpetuating now.
right. But I think
because-
like initial fandom usually comes from an honest place of liking games.
Yeah.
Next. There you go. Okay, how about this one? That sudden urge to buy a Wii, because it's the new thing, kind of dies down when you find out, oh, they've got plenty. So fine-tuning supply is important for marketers, right? So how can we, how do you balance this out? Where do you see things falling? Is there a conspiracy going on by Sony?
Well, are you talking about Sony conspiracy? Like I think Nintendo.
Are they limiting it on purpose to make you hungry
No,
for
I think
it?
Nintendo. I mean, I think Sony wishes they could make more. But I think what's weird from Nintendo is this press release that came out this week that's like, oh, we hear a lot of non-gamers are going to buy Wii, so if you're a gamer, you better try harder to get one. Which I think is really weird. That's really surprising.
That press
they actually
release is
did that.
pre-orders aren't going so well. We're not sold out yet.
Well,
Yeah.
what's
why,
funny?
Why aren't you all after
Why-
it, guys?
Don't you guys? This is going to be all. We've got Zelda.
It's funny.
3 weeks
when,
early.
When Toys R Us did their pre-orders a week ago, most stores had like between 4 and 6 PS3 pre-orders and 40 Wii pre-orders. So, yeah, odds of 40 people didn't come, I think.
And how many of those people that came were like, "Oh, I didn't get a PS3. I'll get a Wii instead."
But it is a big challenge for anyone launching something like this to keep the excitement. If you know you can walk into any store that week and you'll be able to walk out with one, I mean, I guess it does diminish the excitement a little. If you feel like you've got it's a challenge to get one, and you're going to feel
the hunt is on for PS3.
Yeah, you're going to have this exhilaration if you track one down. I think the argument that came from this is that if there are that many Wiis out there, are you going to? Are we going to have that?
I disagree, because I think that this is exactly what Nintendo is going for, and that they're not marketing to us. They're not marketing to gamers. They're not selling it as a game system. When they showed this thing to the European media, they didn't even hire show people. They had like crazy people off the street who hadn't played Wii before, allegedly, to show off the machine.
It could be possible that maybe the Wii doesn't sell out.
No, I think it will sell out, but I think that when it comes out, it's going to be cheap. And because it's cheap, it is people who aren't the people who are going to be getting PS3s who are going to go buy it.
Somebody is going to make fun of me for this comparison, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Tickle Me Elmo sold out, and it didn't need pre-orders. Cabbage Patch Dolls sold out back in the day, and they didn't need pre-orders. We will sell it in the same way because it's going out to the mass market. It's not just intended for enthusiasts.
Although
What's it going to the mass market with? It's going out to the mass market. What is it going to the what? Which game? What's the mass market stuff? What, hit me with it,
The kids titles, licensed titles, those are mass market.
dude. I got Cars already on my PS2.
The direction that they're marketing
Avatar, not so much.
The direction that they're marketing Wii is most assuredly directed towards having people who haven't bought video game systems before and aren't necessarily buying a PS3 or a 360 buy their machine.
Then like the droids, dude. This is not the game console you're looking for.
I've not seen any marketing that does that. Where's this marketing that does
That's
that?
what I'm saying.
The marketing hasn't even kicked in yet. There are no first party ads anywhere. There are no commercials, no movie
The only
ads,
ad
no
of any
print
kind
ads.
with a Wii is a 7-Eleven ad in the new EGM, which is a Slurpee thing made to look like a Wii controller.
They're giving away 711 of Wiis.
and they have
That's
strawberry flavored Slurpees at
it's
7-Eleven.
delicious.
You're
Wow.
correct. There has not been marketing out there. I guess the way I should state that is the intent that we have heard and what we have perceived to be the direction they're going is to go out after that market.
Well, and if Nintendo has press releases about, all these non-gamers want it, hopefully they're going to market to those non-gamers. I hope.
I mean, come on! I thought that was incredibly bizarre that when they went to show it to the European press, that they had they had the big heralded story about the 55-year-old dude who had been picked up. They just got guys off the street, come in, show off the Wii.
Apparently, Nintendo was at an AARP conference this week, so they're going after some really non-traditional old people.
Non-traditional old people.
Wow, they're gonna love Zelda. Killer app.
So I guess that's the next one we'll pull here. Gears of War and Resistance. Let's say they cancel each other. how much chance do you see for Zelda conquering everything?
None, because gamers aren't going to be able to get a Wii. They're going to be fucking at home wishing that they had got one because grandma went out to get Me Sports or something.
Based on, a lot of people have played all these games now.
Yes.
People here have played all these games. And we can't really comment on them exactly, but from what I've heard, Zelda is probably the dark horse in terms of quality. In terms of, like, you might not have thought about this game and how good it's going to be.
Did we really just call Zelda a dark horse?
People kind of forget about Zelda. People kind of forget about Zelda. They do.
I don't think anyone would ever have questioned that Zelda is going to be good. The question is, the question that people need to answer is, how good? Is it going to be on the Wii versus how good is it going to be? It's going to be good.
The new thing we're hearing is you want to play it on Wii. That's what we're hearing. Actually, like, you really want to play it on Wii. For people who've played it on Wii,
Jeremy came back from Seattle dramatically impressed by the controls.
Everyone did. Everyone came back dramatically impressed. So I think that game alone could.
Okay, Luke, let us have it.
No, I just
go ahead.
Are you ready to eat some crow?
I just did the jerk off motion. That's it. I mean, that's just
that was you using the bow and arrow, or
that's just
because if 360 and PS3 both have these, like, very good shooters that are like crowd pleasing shooters, everyone's gonna like them. They're good games. But then, like, Wii has a very different game, an epic action adventure that's unlike anything you can get on those other consoles. I think it might stand out more because those games kind of cancel each other out because they're similar in a way.
Well, I've certainly always been concerned about that for Resistance. I mean, it looks like a great game. It's very engrossing when you're there playing it because of the dynamic of playing a shooter. It's a good shooter anytime you get sucked into that. But then when you step back from it a step, you're like, wow, okay, I played a lot of shooters before. I played a lot of games like this before. Zelda certainly could stand out and be something different.
You played it before on the Nintendo 64. It's called Ocarina of Time. Did you like it?
Yes,
okay.
Of course.
Well, yes, actually, I did. I did like it a lot.
Then you're gonna love this. But you're going to waggle while you play it.
But I guess then the next question on that is there going to be something else after that? Because, boy, the GameCube sure had a lot of problems.
Yeah, next year. Mario Galaxy. Until then.
Wow.
I hope you've got a good. I hope you've got a good duster because you're going to be dusting off your Wii every couple weeks because you ain't playing it once you finish Twilight
There's
Princess.
new Virtual Console games every month.
John, you've watched game business for a long time. What do you think about all this?
I think I have no doubt Zelda will probably be the best reviewed game this year. I don't think it's going to be the best selling game this year.
Well, I think that's a pretty strong endorsement, though.
What is the best selling game this year? Madden?
I mean, I'm just looking at the holiday season. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Could be.
Yeah.
Does anybody
Good
know?
question, actually.
Could be a DS game or something.
Yeah.
God.
Or a PS2 game.
But I do think Zelda will be the best.
Well, I think it would be a PS2 game simply because of the amount of units.
Shouldn't it, in
Yeah,
theory, be
I think
Final
probably
Fantasy
best selling
12?
game this year could very well be Final Fantasy.
In
Could
theory,
be.
it should be. That should be the one that sells the most before the end of the year.
And on the new platforms, I think Gears of War is going to be the big seller purely because there's a lot of 360s.
Right.
Yeah, and they'll get a great sell-in through it. So, where do we leave all that? You're saying Zelda's going to be
Best reviewed.
John says Zelda best reviewed game.
Not best selling.
I think. I wouldn't argue. I do think that Zelda's probably going to be the best.
I think Zelda
reviewed
will
game of the year.
outsell Gears of War.
You call? Well,
Wow.
Whoa!
There you go. Just put it out there.
I don't.
On
disagree.
both
By the end of the year. No.
On
both-
just on Wii.
Just
Wow.
Wii.
So you
wow.
think Zelda can sell Wii's that
Every
well?
person in line when I pre-ordered my Wii was pre-ordering Zelda every single person.
Anecdotal evidence. The new
There
way
you
we
go.
make.
Well,
That's how Michael Pachter does it.
Except for the old people, who isn't going to buy Zelda? Like, seriously.
I'm buying Zelda.
And you're never mind.
Oh, wow. Garner, we said no more.
That was a
jokes.
softball. Sorry, it was just too much of a setup. Yeah,
Couldn't even hit it.
I think that I'll jump out there and I kind of agree with Shane, except I don't think it'll outsell Gears simply because the 360 community is much more involved, and the online play of Gears is going to draw
if there are
everybody
4
involved.
million Wiis, and the best-selling,
All right, fuck.
I mean, that's like fucking message.
anybody
like,
need any more rum?
That's chalkboard type shit, and we're gonna be taking pictures to like in Major League to expose a naked girl when you're wrong.
You just took up 2 minutes of our next topic.
It's okay. It's probably not good.
So Shane, you said you knew something about this next question, which is
What
the new DS non-games. that are
So
incoming.
Nintendo right now, and in fact it's already happened by the time this airs, is in Japan they have this tour where they have all these new Wii games, all these new DS games, and among the DS games are a bunch of new touch generation non-games, including a poetry game, a cooking game.
Are they games or
They're not games.
Or is it
They're
just,
non-games.
just
They're
poetry?
They're non-games. There's some interactivity, but like they teach you poetry. They teach you how to write. There's one that teaches you how to write prose. One's another cookbook game, and they're just blowing up. Like these games, every crazy non-game.
Luke looks exasperated, and I think this is genius.
Yeah, every of these crazy non-games comes out in Japan, sells 1 million units. Like just this last week, one of them called Common Sense Training came out, and it's already sold like 400,000 copies.
Dude, advice, just don't even go. Don't try it.
Build 1 million helmets, send them over to Japan because that country's full of retards.
But no, the whole world is Touch Generations is taking off in America and Europe. It's amazing. Like Nintendogs and Brain Age, these games are selling like huge here too.
International ambassador for one of yours, Luke Smith.
So Luke, I think this in a year's time, you're going to be playing here in America 100 great.
I hope that I can unlock. I hope that I can unlock iambic pentameter. I mean, so wait, to me is the most retarded. This is so stupid.
What's wrong with these games?
This is absurd.
They're changing the market.
You want to have a haiku battle? Like, come on, haiku battle.
Actually, I mean, if it's haiku battle.
So Luke, you're more excited about World War II Shooter 75.
No, I hate
Bald
World War
Space
II.
Marine Simulator 7 than you are a poetry game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen to yourself. Can we play that back real quick?
Hey.
Why is this genius, John?
Because I think this is doing this is delivering on the bullshit that they're talking about elsewhere.
At least it's bullshit, though.
No, but all the stuff about getting like grandparents or whatever, you put something in someone's hand and you let them interact with something they're familiar with, then you're going to expand the market. It's not aimed at you.
That's good.
You're obviously missed.
I know your mom likes poems. I love poems after I have sex with her.
God, easy there, Duke Nukem. You fucking bring.
I was doing your mom the other day, reading her poetry.
It's like
I was. You were there?
It's like you're talking straight from the script of Gears of War.
Oh.
Eat shit and die.
Is that a real quote?
Yeah, that one is.
Anyway, I think non-games are awesome, and it's the reason Nintendo is
because they helped him score with your mom.
Yeah, and it's part of the reason Nintendo is obliterating the PSP in Japan, and PSP has no chance of success.
Oh, come on. That's
in Japan,
absurd.
what can PSP do?
Oh, okay.
Seriously, dude.
Portable Ops, the savior.
It's going to sell well.
Here.
Not even here.
No, Portable Ops, but the other stuff that we were excited about on PSP, we've deviated dramatically. But
what were we talking about?
Non-games and how awesome they are.
Mm-hmm. It's very good, but it's not for you.
Did you try
wait till we have the non-game one up yours not podcast or some bullshit like that.
Non-game.
I'll be taking a day off on that day. I'll be playing Bald Space Marines.
So you're gonna be surprised here. Yeah, I'm gonna side with Luke on this one. Not so interested.
Have you tried any of these non-games?
It's a little close to you.
Did you play Brain Age?
I did. I
Luke,
did.
He doesn't want to know his brain age. He's afraid.
Dude, my Brain Age is like 22. It's actually really good. I just played Brain Age for a while.
But do you not
like,
think that Brain Age? I mean, this is a natural progression from Brain Age.
It is a natural progression for people who don't like games and are bored as fuck.
But how long did you play Brain Age?
It was like
a week.
No, it was like
a week.
2 weeks.
Yeah, a few
week to
weeks.
2
Played it every
weeks.
morning.
It's only $20. 2 weeks.
It was a
$20.
great thing as well. My wife doesn't play many video games, but we'd both play it in the morning, and
So because it was only $20, getting a couple of crummy weeks out of it made it okay.
Gamefly that shit. Oh, pro tip.
Well, this is freaking
Move on.
Next, they'll be putting flashcards on the Wii.
I hope so.
Move on.
Can we play memory on it soon? That'd be awesome.
Move on.
Toss across. Woohoo!
This great new it's called Tic-Tac-Toe. Have you played it?
That's really good on DS.
Fuck off. You can actually draw the circle.
Exactly.
God. I hate video games.
These aren't video games. They're non-games.
Wow, and that's the end of that point right there. So let's go on to the next one. Someone would like to hear us talk about old NDAs and embargoes. Did we ever see a game long before it got announced? Did you know things like the name of the Wii or the controller in advance? Did you know about the secondary character of Halo 2 or the Raiden or in MGS2? Anything you can remember about gaming, perhaps very different.
we didn't know the Wii.
We see tons of. We didn't know the name of Wii. No.
But we did know about Raiden, and we did know about the stuff in Halo.
Yeah.
And that was really difficult not to talk about.
We also see things that never.
Just like we know about the third race in Halo 3.
And the
wow, Garnet is joking totally. He actually has no clue what he's talking about. And the third race was introduced in Halo 2.
Actually, that's called the Flood.
But quite often we see games or hear about
fourth race.
We hear about games that never end up coming out, and there are things there are things out there that you see and play that you will be really surprised by. Like somewhere out there, there's a PlayStation 2 version of Halo.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
I actually
how
know
about that? Yeah.
But the person who told you is going to kill you now.
I know you just. Well, you're gonna be
next week.
Be
We'll
glad if you still have the blonde hair. So we'll be recruiting for a new member to One Up Yours. John, you probably have the most interesting one. What's an old one you can think of? Give us something like Elite
my
era.
God. Come back to me in a second. I'll think of something.
Luke?
I haven't been in this industry long enough to be shown anything cool early.
It's back to you, Shane.
I pulled out a really huge one right there. That's a pretty megaton one, but that's pretty routine. And it's tough to keep these things secret in, like, especially when it's something you care about, like Metal Gear or Zelda. It's something you really know about. And you know, cool
Metal
shit
Gear
about
was
it.
a big one because with Raiden, it was really they didn't want us to talk about it in the review either.
Well, you know what's weird? In Japan, they didn't make it a secret. They sold Raiden as like, oh, this is a character you're gonna like. So in Japan, if you actually were paying
Boy,
attention,
were they wrong.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's always happens over the years. I mean, back in like the old days on PC stuff, there was a lot of secrets around the Command and Conquer franchise. I remember there being big secrets around like Warcraft 2.
I mean, and some companies are really secretive. Like Rockstar is fabulously
Oh
secretive.
god,
Like
GTA stuff.
Like it's like the government. It's like the CIA.
But that's not us knowing stuff and not being able to tell you about it. That's them not telling us.
right.
Yeah, that's,
It's like,
that's
you
more
know, you'd be
typically
like,
what happens.
So what happens in San Andreas when you get past like the cul-de-sac where he lives? Oh, we can't tell you that. Okay, so he gets fat. How? We can't tell you that either. There was a lot of that with San Andreas. They freed up a little bit recently, like with Vice City Stories. They were
Right, but with GTA 4 again, it's like we probably won't know anything until the month before.
like
you
even
know?
what it's called.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it as much in console games, but PC games are especially guilty of feature sets not being locked down. You know, so for instance, in a strategy game or in a role-playing game, they'll have ideas that they're playing with, and they're playing with a bunch of ideas while they're going through testing and development phases. And how many of them make it into the final game is anybody's guess. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can't think of any notable ones off the top of my head because really they go by in a blur. I mean, you'll see stuff in a preview and they're like, okay, below this line on the feature set, don't talk about it because it's still stuff that we haven't, solidified as stuff we're doing. And sometimes you'll see it rolled in. You'll see weapons that become secondary fire on other weapons. You'll see spells or features that become parts be molded together or removed entirely because they can't get them balanced, all that kind of thing.
I thought of some other things. Like I know a friend who beat Star Fox 2 for Super Nintendo. Like beat it at CES. That game never came out. That was kind of random. They actually beat the whole game at the show.
Wow, that's dedication.
Yeah, never came out. Random.
Right, so let's get back on track here with Major Nelson, who is one of Luke's good friends.
He's got some competition finally.
So
in terms of the fake blog.
Fake blogs, the new PR hotness, Major Nelson versus Free Speech. Luke, do you have any comment on that?
Not yet. I mean, the Free Speech, the thing. There's
What's the deal with Free Speech? Because it's not someone that works at Sony, right?
Well, they explain it right there on the page. Like they're not owned by Sony, but let's just say we can talk to Sony or something. Like,
well,
they're like a direct line from Sony. It's sort of like, I don't know, Major Nelson.
I
is an
have the
applicable
PR guy's
comparison.
phone number as well. That doesn't make me blog about him every day.
But like Free Speech seems to me to be what will likely be an answer to like Gamerscore ultimately. But the way, I mean, these blogs in general are sort of frustrating and questionable.
but don't you think they're kind of supposed to trick regular people? Like we're not tricked, and people who read these forums or in the know aren't tricked. But like Joe Schmo is probably tricked and thinking, "Wow, this guy's just really enthusiastic and knows a lot about this stuff."
How do you? I mean, Major Nelson, they push it really aggressively through Xbox.com, and he's inserted into Xbox culture. First I knew of Free Speech was when you told me today. I mean, where are they pushing this?
Well, I sent you a link to it earlier this week, and it was a link to GameSet Watch because that's where I read it. It was GameSetWatch.com, and the link after I wrote it said Jesus Christ, because it's like dudes from GI.biz or something, like Rob Fahey, or I hope that's who it is. Otherwise, Christ, he's going to email us pissed. But it's those guys working on Free Speech too. So they've got like it'd be like if I started writing for Nintendo. If I had a column in Nintendo Power.
You should.
So this is different from being...
I'd like to hear him write for Nintendo
Wait. This
Power.
is different from official media, which is... One of the misconceptions, actually, about official media is that it's paid for. It's not.
Right, it's true.
Official media, like the official PlayStation
OPM can
magazine
say whatever they
or
want.
Games for Windows, is Nintendo. They don't pay us. We pay them. We pay them a license fee to use their
You
name.
can give any game any score you want with no
Right.
repercussions.
So I mean, that's the big misunderstanding about official media.
Wait,
is
so
that
Sony wears the money hats?
exactly
Not
we,
us?
We OPM. Right, so that's the deal. We pay them a license fee like anyone else who's a licensee to use the PlayStation name and the PlayStation bug, and that's pretty much the extent of the relationship on that front. And you work with them the way that EGM works
You have
with
to
them.
fight for content the way we all do.
This Free Speech thing, this is Sony speaking through a blog, right?
It's a much more direct line. Yeah.
But yeah, if you read it, I mean, like the stories up there are very like, these sound like they were purposefully placed in this order to reveal these things. Every commercial that's out there gets, here's a hot new commercial for the PS3. Check it out.
This is not new in the general internet world either. I mean, I was reading on Dig a couple of weeks ago, and I forget the name of the site, but there's actually a site now that posts, blog posts for hire, where you as a blogger can go and read the various assignments that are out there, write whatever it is, 50 words about Smirnoff vodka, and they'll send you $20.
But I mean, I think should people be concerned about this?
If good information comes from it, then it's another source to tap. But it is ultimately the company having complete control over the message.
And good information is definitely the controlling. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Major Nelson's position has sort of morphed over time. I mean, they were kind of had him out there at one point in time as an everyman guy, and it wasn't such a Xbox official position.
Now he's more of a mouthpiece.
Now he's a mouthpiece.
He's like defending.
Dude, now he is a mouthpiece.
Yeah, there's like three things isn't defending anything. It seems more like community still, like false community,
which is where Major Nelson started. And I would venture a guess that this will kind of evolve in that same direction if they go that route.
I actually kind of from a company speaking to us, I actually prefer the Major Nelson thing because Major Nelson is an employee of Microsoft and it's coming from Microsoft.
It's a little more upfront about what it is.
Well, Microsoft has dudes on message boards who do that. I mean, they have guys on different forums who are like Xbox community, whatever, just on some forum on the internet. And they're very clearly Microsoft employees designated on the boards, which
like
is
Luke
better,
Smith,
which is better than
like Luke Smith.
But
right. That's why Mike says stop buying things on live.
This is Microsoft's first step. Sony's first step into that, whereas Microsoft has a zillion of these blogs.
Well, I mean,
agents everywhere.
This is, Sony trying to create a community is kind of new still. So,
yeah.
All right, so let me bring this, as we bring this segment to a close, got one last one for you, and it's kind of pivotal to all of what we've been talking about. When do we stop calling this next gen?
On the 17th.
You think that quick?
Maybe.
You start calling PS2 old?
Next year. PS2 is already old. But yeah, I think it's sometime next year that everyone will sort of make the switch. I think that it'll still be next-gen lingo until, mid-next year.
What about Wii? It's new gen.
Doesn't count.
I think the community will kind of decide for us. I think there'll be a definite...
And they go, would you please stop saying that?
Yeah, to some degree, and they may not even have to say it. It's just as matter, and we'll decide also because we'll know that we've said it enough times and it just doesn't make sense. There'll come a point where we're talking about it and we're like, you know what, this is stupid.
It sounds like something really mundane, but this actually came about because our copy chief sent a note out to the entire group last week saying, hey, I'm editing something that's going to go out next year, and we're still saying next gen. Yeah. Do we want to be doing that?
I think by next fall, nobody will say next gen, and it'll probably be 2.5 to 3 years before we start saying next gen.
But I think this will be a big difference in transition from other generations where I don't think we'll look down our noses and call PS2 last gen so much because there will still be...
I already call it last gen.
What do we call it? What do we
really?
Call
Are you going to call it
current gen?
Like when I say, that Wii game has last gen graphics, I'm not talking about like 16-bit. I'm talking about.
But the whole generational thing is only really about. This is such a picky conversation. But it's only when there's something new coming down the pipe that you even start to identify that. So it'll just go away for a while. The weirdness is going to come with. It depends how long the PS2 lives on for as a powerful thing, because that's then the anomaly, not the new stuff. It's like you've got the 3 platforms and the handhelds and PS2.
And there's got a lot of variables there. Like if PS3 manufacturing and distribution doesn't get it out there, there's still going to be a lot of developers that think, you know what, I just need to keep on making PS2 games for a while.
They want to make money, they're going to have to.
Right. And and publishers at least want to make money, and that's where developers get funded. So God of War 2 will be a pivotal title for that because
Actually, probably
too much of this Guatemalan
the next gen we're going to see is like next gen portables, which we're probably going to see in like a year. Like next gen portables.
You think that's soon?
Oh, I think it's possible.
And the new Wii. Eat a dick, bitches. We'll be back.
Bastard. You're
trolling the Wii hard today.
It's on the next. Yeah, well, they bitched about us not talking about it enough last week.
So now you're going to fucking piss them off?
Would you like to give us specs on the next Wii?
Next segment.
You know what? There was a Wii in the office today, and I never failed to be shocked how small.
It's very small.
Sturdy it is.
It's solid.
Yeah.
My God, you know it's small when you put it on the base and you realize how much bigger the base makes it.
Yeah.
Especially, when you've seen PS3 debugs, they're so big, they're so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
This thing's tiny comparatively.
It's about the size of an old 5 1/4 inch floppy drive.
Yeah.
Back for people that remember that kind of thing.
I do.
The
I
Wii
don't
might be
remember
small
that.
enough that you could put your Master Chief helmet from the Legendary
Yeah.
Edition over it, actually.
All right, so we'll let you come back, Luke, and have your moment in the sun with the news. We'll be back in a minute.
Tune in to Radio PM from the editors of the official U.S. PlayStation magazine. And trust me, people, we are so biased. Listen in every Thursday at radiopm.oneup.com or on iTunes.
You're listening to One Up Yours on the One Up Radio Network.
And we're back with a combination of two of Luke's favorite topics, EA and microtransactions.
Definitely two of my favorites. Those are my two. We're actually, I think now's the time to start talking about our microtransactions planned for the show.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about some exclusive content? Maybe you pay $2 for it.
Like
Maybe
you're
we come up with a point system.
Say there were some really, really funny outtakes that were super hilarious. How much did you pay for those?
Ones that were
Don't
maybe
answer yet. There's more.
totally inappropriate.
Maybe that's your question of the week.
Maybe we could just get the show to pause at each break and say, please insert 2 quarters.
Insert credit to continue. Well, EA is offering the opportunity for you to insert credit to continue.
Yeah, a lot of it.
If you want to unlock everything in Need for Speed Carbon without...
I have played Need for Speed Carbon. If you need to pay money to play that game more,
Then you're stupid enough to spend that much money on it?
no, then you can't play games because Need for Speed Carbon is the easiest racing game ever made.
But so wait, how much does it cost to buy all those microtransactions?
to upgrade, to unlock everything so that you could have everything from the outset, $50.
So 100,
Like a
if you wanna-
hojillion points, or just buy the game.
So if you don't want to have to play the game at all, pay for it again.
If
Does that
you-
come with a copy of Most Wanted or something?
If you're Jermaine Dupri, this is how you're going to play Need for Speed Carbon. You're just going to unlock it all.
Why are you saying Jermaine Dupri doesn't?
He's a
like,
big dog. You know, Jermaine. If you don't got a Bentley in the garage, you ain't no big dog.
He just quit his job, so he's looking for a new job.
Jermaine Dupri rolls. He flosses.
He rolling large and on
So-
Carbon with the $50 of upgrades.
So you can drop $50 or sit down and play the damn thing for probably less than 10 hours to get the same thing.
That's a $5.
So we already saw this with Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods did this, but this is doing it at a much more terrible extent.
It's
Right?
doing it at a much more terrible extent, but to be completely fair, like EA is doing a better job this time of making it clear, like, hey, you can unlock this in the game. You can unlock this in the game. We're just giving you the option to fuck yourself.
While it escalates the arms race on the whole thing, come on, $50.
Well, wait. So is Microsoft still saying we're not setting any rules? All up to them. Maybe it's time for them to come in and actually make some rules.
I mean, choir.
Maybe.
Do it.
Maybe.
It's the Wild Wild West is out of control. And
There's a
then-
collector's edition of Carbon as well, right?
Of course there is.
So there's a,
Comes in a cardboard box.
There's a $70 retail option followed by $50
in bonus.
in bonus, like
Heavy on the
basically
bone.
just ruining it for you. And
look at all this added value that EA is giving
Well,
the
Shane, I
consumer.
mean, here's the thing, Shane. Why would you turn down added value? This is added
Ooh,
value.
Added value. Extending the life of your games.
So a bit of microtransaction that is actually extending the life of the game is. Are you still playing Perfect Dark Zero? Anyone?
I think Greg Ford is. He still thinks it's good. I'm not sure what happened with him.
I think Che
He likes having the.
Che Chow.
Che nined it.
Che
so
Chow.
I'm sure Che's still playing it
Che's
every
still
night.
playing it.
Well, it's the arrows on the ground.
Oh yeah, they're so helpful. They tell you exactly where to go.
You're
I
getting
hope they're doing the new stuff.
You're getting two nostalgic maps from the original Perfect Dark. So this is a good time, right? To,
That's worth $50
Well, these-
probably,
these-
right?
But these also come with the player's choice version of.
Does
whatever
anyone remember what any other maps in the original Perfect Dark were like?
No, because Perfect Dark Zero is Perfect Dark was totally forgettable, but people just want to remember.
For something to be nostalgic, don't you actually need to be able to remember it?
Now that Gears of War is coming out, can we just pretend like Perfect Dark Zero didn't exist?
Yeah, I don't know what Perfect Dark Zero was. A year from now, we'll be like, Gears of
What?
War?
Yeah.
Sorry, Cliff. EA reported their Q3 earnings. I don't have the numbers here because I forgot to print it out, but it was just destructive. Huge sales. Thank you, humanity.
How much of that was Madden
It was
based?
something
It
like
was Madden.
$784 million.
That's the Madden quarter, though, right?
Yeah, it's the Madden quarter. But it was their biggest quarter ever.
Yeah.
So EA is doing very well.
And is there any doubt? I mean, Carbon. Is there any doubt they're going to sell just truckloads of that
They'll
game?
sell a fuck ton of it. I mean, it's It's good. It's not awesome. I mean,
It's predictably fun.
We gave it a 7.5. It's Need for Speed again.
That's the best. That's the best tag I've heard.
It's been quality for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Predictable quality.
It's their second biggest selling franchise after Madden now. I mean, because it's racing games, and anyone can relate to that.
I would bet you that some places...
Maybe not as much as poetry, though, huh?
Yeah, right. I bet you somewhere in an EA lab, there's somebody like wondering, how do we get like the next big franchise? You buy it.
Yeah. It ain't Superman. I was watching someone play that earlier.
Yeah.
Army of Two is coming someday.
I think that looks cool.
That'll be good.
Ace and Gary?
I was going to say, it's a military makeout sim.
It's not gay, dude, all right?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
They're very adamant about how not gay that game is.
Dude, you kiss a dude and he runs back from the light. Okay? I read the EGM cover story. That's what it is.
Actually, speaking of things that we know about, there was something with Army of Two, which I'm pretty sure they actually ended up taking out, and that was the using panty liners.
Oh yeah,
in the game
you could use panty liners or maybe it was tampons to
plug bullet wounds. And with all the gay stuff that was going around at the time, and then they bust out panty liners, they were like, "Yeah, we should probably take that out, huh?"
My question is, why are
two spies carrying around boxes of Tampax?
Why are these super awesome mercenary spies being like, "Did you bring the Tampax?"
Dude, my girlfriend sent me to the 7-Eleven.
It's right I got tampons to plug your wounds and rubbers for the end of my gun when we jump in the water. I'm good to go.
Jesus. Japan's getting a DVD playing Wii. GamesIndustry.biz reported that DVD playing enhanced Wii in Japan sometime next year.
There's a precedent for this.
The
Panasonic Q. There was a DVD playing GameCube.
Wii 2.0.
It's not 2.0. It's a slightly different.
So would you like to speculate? So you didn't do it last time. Would you like to speculate on these specs of Wii Next? Wii DS? Wii Lite?
It'll probably just be slightly more powerful than it is now.
What do you think the display resolution's capability with this? Will it go HD?
It's 720p.
720p?
Yeah, that's it.
Anything else in there?
It might have good sound.
No, Dolby Pro Logic 2, that's all we need.
Yeah, probably. Microsoft is breaking their own 360s.
Why?
Yeah, I have no idea. They apparently are looking for more sales. I went over to a friend's house last night, and they got a 360 back that they just sent out. And they got it back and plugged it in.
Because it had already broken once.
Yeah, because it had already broken. It had already, four red lights. They sent it back, came back, it was fixed, plugged it in, updated the dashboard. Error.
What about the rumor that these are modded systems that are getting bricked?
Some of it is the modded systems getting bricked. The other group, the other contingent, are people who are getting their systems back from Microsoft and then updating it. There's an incompatibility.
Any system builder out there who built a Power PC knows the troubles you can get into when you start upgrading firmwares. Microsoft brought this on themselves, and it's just something you expect when you do this kind of stuff. If you've ever flashed BIOS on your computer, you know how many warnings they give you before you do it. That, hey, by the way, unless you're really having problems, you don't want to do it. I've seen someone brick a motherboard. You're going to see people brick 360s. If PS3 goes down this road of being able to update, they may well run that risk too.
Shane, you be careful with your 360. I don't want you to not be able to play PSU.
My 360 has been around for a full year now, and it's doing great.
But is PSU doing great?
Well, not so much, but that's a whole other problem. So I've been playing PSU, and as I said, I'm a huge fan, but it's conspiring to make me hate it because there are a lot of problems. A, it's hard to get on the servers. The first 2 days I got it, I couldn't get on the servers. Now, if you retry, if you disconnect a few times, you'll usually get on the servers. But then when you get there, odds are voice chat is not going to function properly in your party. You maybe, if you're lucky, you'll be able to hear a few people in your group, but then one guy won't be able to hear you, and then another guy can hear him but can't hear these people. So it comes as a bizarre situation of tell him this, tell him that. And there's some workarounds that people have figured out, like if you boot your system up with no game in it, log into Xbox Live, and then put the disc in, it seems to work more often. And one day I was playing the weekend, there was a dude standing in the town. He was like, "Oh, I work for Xbox. I'm here to tell you that if your voice chat isn't working, we're working on the problem. Hopefully we'll fix it one day. Try rebooting your system."
Some guy fucking with everyone?
No, he was apparently
he had an official Xbox.
No, Mark McDonough was talking about this.
No, the funny thing, when he said I work for Xbox, one guy was like, "Get him!" That was funny. But my biggest problem with the game isn't that, because that's annoying. But the big fucking problem with Phantasy Star Universe is only about half of the promised content is currently available. Like in the single-player game, there are 3 planets, all this stuff. In the online game, right now there are 2 planets, a total of 9 missions, 3 bosses, There should be like 10 bosses. There should be like tons of missions.
And what are you paying a month to play this?
You're paying
piece of
$10
shit?
a month to play the game. You're paying $6 for the game, and you're paying $50 a year for Xbox Live Gold. And it's like a beta test. Like, it doesn't work properly. The voice chat's fucked. Half the content isn't there. They're going to push new content every month. But, like, there's so much content left on the disc that you just can't get to. It's going to be months before you get all of that. Like, the third level spells aren't there. The second level of classes aren't there. Tons of items, weapons aren't there.
So what rationale has been given for all this? Anything?
We haven't really gotten any response from Sega, but the idea is, well, we're going to dole it out in chunks so that people don't like use it all up too quickly or you're not overwhelmed. I don't know what their answer is, but I'm pissed as like a PSO fan.
They don't use it up too quickly.
What
What bullshit
but, like,
response is
everybody
that?
I've been talking to who is a PSO fan is pissed because like once you get to level 20 in this, you're more or less fucked. It's hard to raise the level. You've seen all there is to do. You've done the same missions like 50 times. You're out of items to get. You're out of spells to get, and we're all waiting for like 3 more weeks until there's new stuff available.
The voice chat thing also is something I'd like to hear from Microsoft about, and maybe Luke, we can look into it like during the week. It seems to me, and this continues to happen, that on 360, and I know they've talked about reducing the overhead for voice chat on 360 Live, the voice chat is actually worse than it was.
Well, apparently that is completely true. On Xbox, they gave a higher priority to voice chat,
Right.
and on 360, they gave a higher priority to like gameplay, to like online
So
gameplay.
how much is that? I'd like to know from them, how much is that impacting the voice chat
Right.
versus how much is it really giving them
Well,
better
I
gameplay?
thought this problem was specific to PSU, but Shu was like, no, he's experienced the same problem on GRAW, on Splinter Cell, and on PDZ.
And we
So-
had it in the Call of Duty 3 online player matches that we did.
Yeah, it's a very widespread problem across multiple games. It's not Sega's fault; it's Microsoft's fault. And what are they doing to fix it?
And I would say the other side of that is Call of Duty 3, 24 players, and it was playing perfectly smoothly. So,
I mean, yeah, I'd rather have it play smoothly than play slowly, but I also want the voice chat to work.
I do want the voice chat to work. I agree.
So right now, I mean, I'm reviewing PSU, and it's really tough to review. I'm almost saying, if you're a PSO fan, if you can wait, almost wait a month or two, because you'll actually get a better game out of the box in 2 months.
Have you played it PS2 or Xbox or PC?
I've only been playing Xbox 360. Milky's playing the PC and PS2, and I mean, he and I disagree. He thinks that voice chat is like something he doesn't even want to do, and I think he's fucking retarded for that. It's part of the reason the game is fun.
Why do you think he's retarded for that? Because his argument that he builds is pretty understandable.
His argument is like nothing. Like the social aspect of the game is huge, and for him, it apparently doesn't matter at all. But for me, it's a big deal. Like I'm playing with a bunch of my old friends. I have a lot of friends on Xbox Live. It's a great way to get 6 friends together, have a blast, having fun playing this, infinitely repetitive, mundane game that becomes fun because you're playing it with your friends.
See,
Like the
personally,
Wii.
I agree with you about the voice chat part. I want to play it on 360 because I want to be able to voice chat and hang out and with the guys we hang out with and play the game. But I remember, and keep in mind, Milky loved Diablo 2. I remember playing Diablo 2, and it had that sort of, well, I'm playing with these other guys at the same time. I don't even have to know who the hell they are or whatever. It's just totally anonymous. You're just playing with them.
I mean, and I've made some anonymous friends on PSU, but it's more fun when you can talk to them and meet them. And
Agreed.
Social interaction is always better than no social interaction, unless you're Milky, apparently. Who doesn't want friends? I don't know.
Let's move on from that.
South Park took on World of Warcraft a couple weeks ago. Now they took on the Wii and had Cartman cryogenically freeze himself in order to avoid the arduous wait until the Wii launch.
What do you think?
I think they got about $150 a minute from Nintendo or something.
No, but I heard that I didn't watch the episode because it was on the same time as Laguna Beach, and
what?
But I heard the episode was like completely disgusting and full of like nudity and violence and disgusting shit that Nintendo would not want associated with the Wii. Right? Anybody watch it?
No, I didn't.
No one here watched it? No.
No.
And I also heard the
I'm
two.
actually blown away by Garnett's $150 a minute comment.
Whatever. It was just off the cuff. I mean,
Garnet Lee shooting from the hip.
So Reggie Fils-Aimé busted out $300, handed it over to Matt and Trey.
that's right. It was only worth $300 a minute. That's right. Shit, I'll take 5
Also-
minutes. That's gonna be what, $1,500? Damn.
Also, there
Sit
was
back.
a PSP related episode of South Park last season. I saw that one, but I also heard that this was a 2-parter, and next week is when he's actually going to get the Wii.
Oh,
so
wow.
there you go.
I don't really think that they paid off. I think that they like to be social commentators, and so they pick up on whatever's out there.
Right, they're very timely. They want to be.
Yeah.
This was probably the news that made me the angriest this week, even more angry than EA does.
Can people tell that Luke's in a bad mood today? Because he's been stewing about whatever this is for the last couple hours.
E3 is coming back
No, it's not.
as like a Digital Life type clone to LA, but it's happening. This is the event doesn't. It's not what pisses me off. It's the timing of the event. It's going to be in the middle of October, around my birthday.
But this isn't
Rock.
This isn't
It'll be Rocktober.
E3 is still the thing that's happening in July.
Yeah.
This is like Game Pros Festival. We have a thing called Digital Life.
Yeah,
that's like, what this is like.
Isn't it like, about like the people who are behind it, right? It's like ex E3 people making this event, and they actually compare it to like an E3 type event.
Right. Just because I think they want to get all these people that have these gigantic booths that they would shove into the LA Convention Center that now aren't really sure what to do with them because they have these million, like Sony's booth was like $5 million.
You could build a kick-ass fort.
Yeah. So now they can bring their kick-ass fort and you will be able to. I think it's cool. But you're bummed about the timing. I understand that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to go.
I hope not.
You'll have to go.
That's the idea.
No, you'll be reporting live.
No,
from the terrarium.
Yeah.
You're gonna live blog the Game Pro show.
God, I won't miss the
terrarium.
terrarium.
I don't think so. Sid over there can handle that. Sony funding about 40 games for the PS3 network. In terms of online gaming, we say Xbox Live is the bar. But this is actually from semi-official Blog 3 speech, which we talked about earlier. Phil Harrison says they're funneling money to develop about 40 games for the PS3 network. From his wording, this sounds like 40 original titles rather than the PS1 games that will eventually become playable on the PS3 or releases from third parties like Konami, who had been a huge champion for Xbox Live Arcade so far.
Didn't Jaffe change the name of his game this week?
Yeah, he did. It was Criminal Crackdown has been changed to Calling All Cars.
I think it's a better title.
I think it's a way better title.
Yeah.
I think it's a way better title.
I loved watching it. It was such a cool looking game.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You didn't think that looked cool?
No.
I thought it looked like fun. I thought that's the kind of game. That's the kind of game and the original content that I want to see as downloadable content.
Yeah, I
agree 100%.
I want to see. I actually want to see games like that, original games as downloadable content. But instead, this week I saw the Cameo Uno deck.
Jesus
on
fucking
the Xbox
Christ!
360. I mean,
they are not going to let Cameo drop.
Why are they soiling something I like so much, Uno, with something I don't like as
Cameo?
much? No, I like Uno a lot.
Wait till you see the Cameo character in Viva Pinata.
Oh God!
You serious?
No, but well, maybe I don't know. Somewhere there's a Microsoft guy going, God, that's a fucking great idea.
Will anybody at this table be surprised if we see Cameo 2? I won't. No. I won't be surprised at all.
Oh,
they are going to beat us to death with it.
And great, that's going to make them lots of money. But I guess there's some sort of special power deck. There's some sort. It does something in the game. It changes the way that the game is played.
That's
in some way.
Uno's fine. Don't fuck with it.
It changes the way Uno is played.
Something. That's what this dude said.
I hear that
one of those Microsoft guys on GAF was talking about how the Cameo deck.
I heard there's a lot more googly eyes.
It adds a fundamental change to gameplay, and it's a great value at
a lot more garish colors and googly eyes than Uno used to have.
And it turns into a vegetable.
We had this sort of
what?
Didn't one of the characters turn into a vegetable or something in Cameo?
Sure they did.
Yeah. Skip, you reviewed it. Did one of the characters turn into a vegetable?
We both beat it. Skip and
it was a plant, wasn't
I'm sorry, wait a minute. He's British. It's supposed to be vegetable.
Vegetable. Skip and I were playing Cameo at the same time. We were cursing like simultaneously from different rooms in the apartment. It was great.
So, Gears of War has this. We tried to look into it while we were playing multiplayer this week, and the executive producer on the game was a little bit cagey about it as far as the way ranked multiplayer is going to work. Gears of War, when you guys play it, and if you've got to play it at one of their events or checked it out in LA, or they had some events in Raleigh this weekend, it's a very team-based game. It's a very much like you and your three teammates, because it's 4-on-4, will have strategies. You'll have strategies for the maps. You'll have like assignments on who goes and procures the different weapons and set up tactical positions, and that's how the game's going to evolve. That's how the game's going to be played. Sort of. In ranked games on Xbox Live right now, there's no party system. You just sort of like bowl into the fray on your own for ranked gameplay, and you get thrown in to games based on something like your true skill ranking, which is this Xbox Live arbitrary.
Is it kind of the way Halo 2 made matchups?
No, that's the thing. It's totally not the way Halo 2 made matchups. Because in Halo 2, we could all get in a room and then just click a matchmaking list and go play Team Slayer. In this, it's like, I'm going to go play Team Slayer. John, you going to go? Or I'm going to go play Warzone. John, are you going to go? Yeah, I'm going to go play Warzone. Okay, hope I see you there.
Like maybe you'll end up together, maybe not.
Yeah, hopefully our hidden levels.
No one's going to be playing Gears of War, so the chances of us meeting up is pretty high, right?
Well, the good news is you really don't want to play with your friends.
Yeah, well,
if you're Milky.
That's right. It's a perfect game. Gears of War, perfect for Milky.
In the line that we're hearing right now is, this is the way the game has to be, because Microsoft certification in ranked games requires you to not be able to pick your opponents. That's what they're afraid of. So what that says to me is that all these game types, if you're not randomly dumped in as a single, these game types are going to be created by users. And if you're creating game types as a user, it has to be unranked. So in order to play 4v4, you might have to have like 7 other dudes online playing the game, hopefully, and we don't know yet, what we're hoping is that it'll be like if there's 4 of us, we'll be able to scan a list of rooms and then pick a room to go in and play, sort of like how you did with Rainbow.
Yeah.
If you remember Rainbow Six 3 way back in the day. And if Gears is a game that's missing multiplayer and something that an Xbox first-gen game hit, I mean, that's a colossal meltdown.
They can fix this, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is totally fixable as far as in the code.
But not by next week.
Probably not
No.
by next week. It's just, I think it's going to take a certain level of outcry from fans to get things fixed. And the thing is, too, like,
How many points do you think that'll cost?
that was the joke I made in the story, too. I hope it's not going to cost me
Jesus.
points. But to be fair to Epic, it sounds to me like there's no way Epic sat around and was like, we don't want to include team versus team ranked games. There's no way. They absolutely thought of this, and it's probably something that, they're interpreting the certification stuff differently because Halo 2 does it and Halo 3 also does it, because we checked out the matchmaking for Halo 3 when we were up there a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not going to tell you details about the matchmaking stuff now, but we are going to tell you about it throughout the rest of the month, and EGM has it in their cover story. It's the brand new redesigned issue. We just got hard copies in the office today.
It is wonderful.
It is. The redesign
With
is
no
awesome.
bias at all from EGM executive editor Shane.
Life-alteringly awesome.
Whatever.
It actually will walk with you into the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, which is
It'll make your shit not stink.
And we have big promises. And we have 3 weeks of Halo 3 on 1UP, and that's at halo3.oneup.com or egm210.oneup.com.
there's so much going on right now. It's amazing. I mean,
It's that time.
it's
that time
like
of
amazing.
year.
I could just stay. If I could stay awake 24 hours, there would be something for me to do all the time. There's that. There's the there's the launch of the consoles. You believe next week when we do this show next week, we'll be 1 week away.
And the
1
really
week.
big games are going to start hitting next Tuesday. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk more detail about Gears of War, more about Rainbow Six, more about Zelda, right? No, not Zelda yet.
Zelda embargoes start lifting piece by piece soon. Yeah.
Cool.
Friday, right?
Today. I
Today.
mean, when people are listening
Right, when
to
people
it,
listen
Jeremy will have a big
mash
story up
refresh
today.
because there's going to be something up for you to read.
Speaking of Nintendo stuff, there's a news thing we haven't gotten to yet that I'm absolutely incensed about. And I've already went off on it in the EGM podcast, but it deserves to be gone off again. Virtual Console finally got announced, the lineup for all the stuff, and America is getting screwed. Japan is getting way better and more games at launch than we are. And there's no reason, Nintendo hasn't said why. And also, our games are more expensive. Like, the Sega Genesis games here are 800 points, which is $8. In Japan, they're about $5.50 for the same games. But the big problem is they're getting more NES games, more Genesis games, more TurboGrafx games, and a ton more Super Nintendo games. All we get here are F-Zero and R-Type 3. There, they get Super Mario World, Zelda Link to the Past, Contra, Castlevania, a Fire Emblem game,
Games no one's interested in
a
playing.
Picross game. They get 10 games. What?
And poetry stuff.
Well, that's not a virtual console game. But
and
seriously,
non-games.
why aren't we getting these games, Nintendo? What the fuck?
Maybe they'll answer you.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I kind of doubt
Yeah,
it too.
I
But
doubt
I
it
just
too.
thought I'd throw it out there for you. I bet you some of the fans will have an answer for you.
Well, I'm sure we'll get it all eventually, but those are the games that people would buy at launch. I mean, we're getting Urban Champion and soccer and completely shitty games that nobody should ever spend
Urban
$5
Champion?
on. Urban Champion is the worst game you'll ever play in your entire life. Do not spend.
Apparently, you
$500
know it.
for
Yeah.
It's awful. Yeah, in Metro, no Zelda.
John looks like he just took a sip off that glass of milk where someone says, "Hey, try this. I think it's sour."
Dude, nobody buy Urban Champion.
You
all right?
fall for that shit?
Dude, I don't ever. It's like, what? Yeah, exactly. Anyway,
I'm
there's
angry.
plenty to talk about. More than you can imagine coming up. Games, consoles. Come by boards.oneup.com. Tell us what you want us to talk about next week, because we got 2 weeks before the consoles hit. We have tons of stuff to talk about. We want to get your opinions out here, and we'll be back next week with them.